Hey guys, so just like in the previous video, I am making this video to show you how to, or to give a run through on how to install Yabai. So in the recording, I'm recording this audio after I did the screen capture, so you kind of have to bear with me on this one. I messed up my recording a little bit. Okay, so what's going on right now is I'm installing Yabai, and I'm just on the Yabai GitHub page, and you just follow the links that says using Homebrew from the tab, and then you put in, you just put in that info, and it should just run through and install Yabai. You see that where it says brew install Kochia Formula Yabai? You put that into your terminal, and that should begin to install Yabai. So I'm just following the directions here that say to go to security and privacy, and I think this allows Yabai to have system permissions for it to be used by macOS. And I'm just starting Yabai by running brew services start. Then after brew services start, then I think that pops up on accessibility. And yeah, I'm just continuing to follow the directions on this GitHub page. I'm not quite sure what the scripting edition is, but since the directions are here, I'm just kind of following it. And see, since I've already started Yabai, I have to write brew services restart Yabai in order to restart it. I'm not sure if I need to upgrade to the latest release for it to work, so I think I'm probably going to skip this step. And here I just was using Magnet as my previous window manager, so I'm quitting it as I'm getting ready for Yabai to launch. So I hopped onto the configuration file page of this README. And I'm navigating to my home directory. PWD just tells me what directory I'm on, and I'm just listing. I'm in my home directory, and I'm going to make a directory or a folder called .config so I can store my config files. So you see there at the top, it tells you where Yabai looks for config files, depending on whether you're on Linux or macOS. I think on macOS it reads your home Yabai RC, or it reads the Yabai RC in your config. So I think to make it more neat, I'm going to create a config file using touch, and then commod or chmod is what makes it executable. And so here I actually made a mistake, I think. I made it .yabai rc for the config file, and I think that's for if you're putting it in the root folder. What I want to do is put it in the config folder. So I think I'm going to correct it here. So yeah, I'm in my config folder. ls just shows the items that are in that folder or that directory, and right now it's just dot and dot dot, so it doesn't show anything, which means my directory is empty. So Vim is just a text editor. I put Vim, and this time I remove the .yabai rc. And I'm just double checking everything is correctly spelled. So now my Yabai RC should be properly stored. Like I was saying earlier, ls, for those of you who are kind of new to all of this and on macOS, ls shows all your directories or all your folders. I accidentally made my Yabai RC in my root folder, which I don't want. It's less neat. So rm removes it, it deletes it. So I'm deleting that. And then cd changes the directory to my config folder or config directory. Okay, now I think I'm making it in the right place. And here are some of the things in this like layout section, some of the things you can throw into your Yabai config. So I'm throwing in the layout to BBSP, which should get it to work. And I'm not sure what is going on here. I think I'm just confused as to what I want to put in, so bear with me. Or you can just fast forward to a later part of this video, but okay, so I like these mouse support movements, so I'm adding that to my Yabai RC. This basically allows me to press FN and then I can click and move the window to a different area, or I can drag and resize the window to make it bigger or smaller with the mouse. And the rest down here are just other configurations. For example, float means that a window doesn't tile, it just floats on top, and you can, and I think that's for window shadows, whether or not there's window shadows on the top floating window. And I like, it's cool that you can change the opacity of your windows. So I like my main window almost 100%, and then I like my inactive windows about 80%. Okay, so I'm exiting out of Vim. To do that, you just press capital Z. And I think once I have these configurations files right, if I restart Yabai, it should start tiling. And there you go. It's tiled. So yeah, just to show you, boom, boom, boom. It tiles in that format. Okay, now moving on to SKHD, I think. SKHD. Which is the hotkey utility for macOS. Right now I'm trying to find out where to click so that I can download SKHD. Or where to get, the directions on how to download it. I think I just install it from Brew, but okay, here it is. It's the line again. Brew install. Koke Shia formulae SKHD, and then starting it. to start it, you just run brew services start like before, and then once again you have to give it all this access. And just like before, you have to put the RC, the config file, into your config directory. So I'm just navigating there, making a directory called SKHD, and then I'm CDing into that SKHD directory, and then I use my Vim editor to make SKHDrc. And because the programs, if you're new to all of this, the programs really only check two places: your root folder or the specifically named folder in your config directory. You have to make sure that everything is typed out correctly, or else you can't just like throw a config file somewhere randomly and expect the program to be able to detect it. So here on the right is just the GitHub page gives you some examples of how you can, what you can put into your SKHD config, and it kind of like tells you gives you a little template of how to make it work. So I want to set Command J or I want to set Option J and Option K to focus on the previous and the next window, because that's the most convenient for me. So I'm throwing that in here, and obviously right here it says Command J is activating the chunk C tiling window manager, and we want it to access Yabai. So I'm going to the commands page, here I'm just going to another YouTuber who made a Yabai video before, and I'm looking at his configs.